back. I'm still wearing my lanyard. Sorry about that, guys. So we're actually back with a very exciting interview because I have been seeing so much about connected home throughout all of CeBIT. So we have Dr. Rainier from mozaiq. How are you doing today?
Thanks for asking. I'm doing well.
Excellent.
I catch a cold, but the rest is all fine.
Well, I think that's the standard trade show fare. Everyone gets sick at some point. So you were actually here at CeBIT, but you were also exhibiting at a different conference.
Absolutely. So our main exhibition is in Frankfurt. It's the so-called Light and Building, and it's all about buildings and smart buildings, obviously. So all the customers are at the Light and Building typically, and all the big software companies are here. So it's
for infrastructure
exactly,
and everything for kind of the back end of business. CeBIT is still definitely a very relevant show. So that's actually, they should almost combine them. The people who are physically building the buildings and the people who are providing the infrastructure. So that's actually quite interesting. I didn't realize that there was two parallel shows at the same time.
Yeah, I think this year is the first time like that.
Oh, okay.
Normally it's I think it's differentiated. So they have the CeBIT, then the Light and Building, and then the Nova Fair.
Okay.
For whatsoever reason they combine it. I think it's because of early Easter.
I
think that's the main root cause behind that. Yeah.
All this trade show timing is always an issue.
I agree.
So can you tell me a little bit about mozaiq?
Yeah, sure. I mean, mozaiq is a company which has been founded last year, March.
Okay.
So it's our first year anniversary, so to say.
Oh, okay. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot. It's a joint venture of ABB, Bosch, and Cisco.
Okay.
And the main intention is to move from really remote homes, as we call it, to smart homes. As everybody's talking about smart homes, but we believe it's not really smart. This is very much ecosystem driven. It's very much domain driven. There's not too much interconnectivity between different ecosystems. It's very hard if you want to combine. And if you want to bring services in as you do on your smartphone, then you're lost more or less.
Forget about it.
Yeah. You can't just go to an internet page like if you go for, I don't know, you want to go for shopping, online shopping, you just go one page, you cover all, try to do this for a smart home application, and good luck.
Yeah. I mean, smart home has always been incredibly interesting as a challenge because the standards just have, no one's agreed upon them, right? And the investment for installation and just time life is so much longer than a lot of other industries. I mean, the automotive industry has faced this, where they have 5 or 7 year life cycles for building cars, but applications and smartphones, they come on 6-month cycles now, right? So you're trying to kind of put together these two ecosystems, one of which moves so quickly.
Yeah, I mean that's...
And the other one, which in homes it's even a longer build cycle than a car.
I would say it depends. I mean that's exactly the point, the challenge we want to take. Mm-hmm. That's why we have a joint venture. The idea is not to do this just from a single perspective. I mean, one company could do this, but then it's still one common closed ecosystem. And the intention we do follow is connecting the ecosystems with the services. And that's exactly what we are looking for. Of course, knowing there is certain services which are extremely fast, and you just need it on demand. I mean, let's think about you have a security service. Mm-hmm. It's not needed every day, but if you want to go on vacation, you need it now.
Right.
Or if you go on a business trip, you want to have it now and not 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
And that's what we try to bring together with our mozaiq platform, as we call it. It's a back-end platform as a service, getting these things together connected. It's a challenge. It's a lot of fun.
It's definitely a challenge, I would say. So let's talk a little bit about security, because we were actually chatting a little bit about this before we came in here. Now, this is actually one of the hot topics of CeBIT right now, with the whole concept of digital transformation and a refocusing of big data onto the person, onto the individual, and how this data can actually make one person's life better.
Yeah.
Right. And in the past, the big data hasn't really conceptually affected an individual. It was affecting industries.
It's right? Exactly. The industry is more advanced. I have a certain background in industry business as well, in industry automation. There are certain trends which are by far more advanced in this than in smart buildings because it's privacy. Mm-hmm. It's slightly different. Howsoever, I mean, there is right now certain technologies available. I mean, you can make your software secure. You have certain technologies, And that's the reason why we have been putting together effort from Cisco and Bosch in this collaboration on the technology side, because both are really working hard on making software more secure.
Okay.
They have good processes in place, they have good technologies in the background, and that's the backbone of our backend solution. And for example, you can encrypt your software, and we have clear requests on making sure that the software is handled properly. If you typically have an open source software, which is a big issue, it can easily be used by others, which is the purpose of an open source software, obviously. And the question is, how can you manage these data transfer? And that's what we do. So it's of course together with open source software, but we have a certain technology to make sure how we manage in a proper controlled way that the data are used just for certain tasks to fulfill.
So can you talk about how you see this kind of moving the industry forward? Because we do need certain levels of standards and a certain level of agreement right now, which I tend to see is not entirely there.
No, not yet. But I think it's getting better. I mean, if you look to the industry, if you look backwards a couple of years, there's a lot of, let me say, these field buses. I'm not sure if you're aware about these field bus technologies. So it's different protocols enabling devices talking to each other. We have these kind of protocols in the commercial buildings already since a couple of years. And we have certain technologies also for residential buildings like KNX Association, which is very strong in Europe, but globally available. It's a global standard for getting devices together. And we see a clear trend now from, I think Intel is one of the driving forces here for this IoTVT standard. I think maybe you're aware about this OCF Foundation, which has been recently announced that there's a merger of different ones. And that's the right way of going forward, because you have a huge basket of products connected via this IoTVT. So that's extremely important for us. And that's a clear trend we see. There's a couple of those, very much driven from the consumer goods for the B2C customer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you see, so from the way that I see IoT moving forward, it's very B2B, right? But where I'm seeing movement and like very clear innovation where standards are being pushed is when consumers are trying to adopt things, right? Because people are already like, put this into your home, let's have this here. And the concept of connected home and connected car aren't, out there anymore, right? Everyone believes the connected car because of Google, the Google car is here.
Yes, correct.
Right? And the connected home, we've been able to buy fridges for a long time now, right? And our connected water kettle and all of these things are clearly already here. But for like real innovation in the home, like these are all just like really nice gimmicks, right? Like they're not very value add to be honest, right?
I fully agree. I would wish not to agree, but unfortunately I have to. No, I share your opinion. That's exactly why we said that the main distinct weakness, and that's why we call it remote homes, to be honest.
Okay.
Because this is just nice to have.
Yeah.
But from a customer value proposition point of view, which is to the benefit of the end customer.
Yeah.
But I can give you a very easy example.
Okay.
Very easy one, which is not in our age, but I'm closer to this already than you are, by far closer, obviously. Look, if you have elderly parents,
yes,
they start struggling with healthy conditions over the time. Let's assume you do have what kind of ever remote home, or call it smart home, I don't care, a system in your home. And then you want to put a service like looking after elderly people to make sure if they are falling down, for example, they can push a button or it's automatically transferred to emergency call center, and then you can start talking what's ongoing. Today, it's nearly impossible that this service provider can switch off the light, for example, or switch on the light, or switching off your television. And that's what we believe is important to do, because then it's a use case. I mean, would you pay some money for your parents to have a good feeling there in safe conditions?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's what you would do.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do. We want to have these service providers, and it could start from B2B, but when it's getting started, also the other one will follow, obviously. And the technology behind that, that's what we offer.
So where do you see the first area where we're going to have like complete systems really rolled out. Because I think your example with the elderly is actually a very good one. And in my head, I had to laugh because my grandfather's in one of these homes, and he never turns on the light when he goes to the bathroom because he doesn't want them to know how often he's going.
Exactly,
right?
because he feels ashamed.
Well, yeah.
No, that's the point.
Yeah.
They feel ashamed, and then they may fall down.
Yeah.
And then you have an issue.
Yeah.
So that's something. I think elderly care is an issue. Obviously, it's not the nicest one to talk about, to be honest, but it's a serious one.
Well, and it's the easiest to understand for direct impact. For me, anyways, I can see like exactly the value. Like it's very tangible, and it's not conceptual like some of these other examples.
No, I think there's others ongoing. I mean, I mean, it's coming hundreds to my mind.
Tell
Maybe
me all
they're
about
all
them.
ugly and stupid, but at least they come to my mind. You know? So look, let's assume you are a favor of very old literature, right? And you have somebody looking after your children or cleaning your house or whatsoever, and you're extremely scared that something is going to happen. Not in terms of they steal it or they break it, just something goes to happen with these books. You would like to protect those books, right?
Yeah.
And just in the sense that people are aware. So you could easily have a very nice sensor which is detecting your position and your movement, and you have a certain area which is a protected area, having the permission for only few people to enter this area. In case somebody else would enter, he would just receive a reminder, an alarm on his mobile watch, or the light would turn red or whatsoever to say, be careful, now you are entering a very sensitive area. It's, you know, if you have values in your home which are of personal value, you would like to protect those.
Yes.
Because when it's broken, you never can repair it. Very simple things, but of course it has to be easy to be connected. And that's one example. Or if you have children, you have a swimming pool. I have children, but I have no swimming pool, so I don't have the problem. But in case you would like to know if something is happening, because you can't watch your children all the day long. Impossible. So if you could have an area protected around this, you would feel by far better.
Definitely, and it's all about connecting sensors. I mean, sensors are the
plus services.
And plus services.
I mean, the services is extremely important. You see, the sensor technology is going so dramatically improving from accuracy. Prices are going down. Intelligence. I mean, we just have been demonstrating a case together with Intel and a nice sensor company on our booth, and the size of these new intelligent chips is the size of a computer from, 10 years back. It's unbelievable. You can do so many things with that. But you have to bring in the service providers. I think that's the main point. The example I just showed you, was not about services. It was about devices. And that's where we are right now. But the devices are, so to say, the precondition. The more devices are connected, the easier it will be for services.
So now, when you start looking at services for the home and the connected home, it's not as clear what services should be provided. Because when you look at defining a new category, the existing business models and paradigms, many of them do translate over one-to-one. But where true innovation or like things get really, really interesting is the things that we haven't thought of yet.
Is it so? I was just wondering, how did it work with the smartphones? Is it really the killer app which does exist in terms of innovation? I think the major difference, and my preferred example is the GPS systems. Which, if you had a rental car some years ago, you always had to book those. Nowadays, you just download your app for the country you want to go, and that's it. Is it innovative in terms of functionality? No, it's not.
It's not, but the smartphone provided a new platform for innovation.
That's my point.
Right?
That's the point.
Well, but that's the thing. Like, once you have the platform there, what are the new services going to be?
And exactly.
Right, yeah.
And that's on the. I mean, I see, for example, everybody. That's why we see everybody has this private demand. As I mentioned,
that's true.
Some may have an elderly person looking after, some others have young children looking after, somebody loves his pet, he would like to have a pet service, like you find this.
Oh my gosh, so many people, this this is maybe the killer app. The pet, the
I think so.
Creeping your pet.
I think
absolutely.
so. Yeah. Making sure the pet is in good condition and it's pretty well served from the food ingredients. So maybe you will have a killer app saying the pet is getting to a door, the food is prepared, and you know what are the ingredients. I don't know.
No, it's true. I mean, there's some hilarious connected pet devices out there. There's one where the food bowl has facial recognition for the cat, so that this cat can eat more than that cat. And then my friend is actually demoing a new connected security service.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, the cat always sleeps on his side of the bed.
Yeah.
But he never sees this until he installed the camera.
Yeah.
And I think that people looking at their pets may actually be the defining moment for how everyone gets connected.
Second one is, of course, security.
And security.
People are getting more and more afraid what's ongoing around my home. So if you have these kind, as I said, these kind of sensors, video cameras whatsoever, I mean, there's companies now offering technologies which make it very easy to detect even body shapes.
Right.
So if you say there's a certain body shape you never have met in your life before and he's going around your home every second day,
you want to know.
You want to know that.
Want to know that.
Or you have these door entry systems which if you ring the bell, you see exactly the face. And this is true. I mean, this is all getting started right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this gives you further possibilities for insurance areas. And of course, shopping is an issue. I mean, we have now all these intelligent refrigerators, which typically just make a video of what's in your refrig.
Yeah. Or you have to manually input everything into your fridge.
But why? But why?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, you have these big retailers offering the food. And if you just say, look, I get an early warning that I'm running out of certain ingredients, and I have this selection of different food providers to say, look, I could deliver by tomorrow morning, and this is an average €10 less expensive than your average basket over the last 6 months. Then you have all by a sudden certain value behind that.
Absolutely.
So, and that's what's going to be, I mean, I'm not the one who is going to develop that, but I think we have to create a community doing that. And that's why we as a company, we said we want to provide the technology in a very secure manner to connect these ecosystems with the services. And then we have also created a kind of it's a non-profit organization where this community of people thinking and believing in smart home applications, they come together to say what is really to the benefit of an end customer use case.
Yes.
And how does that affect the smart app offering, the device offering, the connectivity offering. And this is now possible because we have these alliances like OCF, because all by a sudden you have a bunch of products behind. Before it was just a couple of products here, a couple of products there. It will not work. Yeah.
So what about when the consumer or someone who's looking to be a part of this or these organizations or platforms looks at upgrading? Right, so this is one of the questions that I get the most, right? Everyone understands that the connected home is coming, but everyone's afraid to kind of start to take part of it because what happens when the standard changes? What about backward compatibility? You know, like no one's upgrading all their appliances at the same time or from one specific manufacturer, right? So there's a lot of variables at play for why the consumer or even a lot of small individual companies aren't wanting to take part. So how are you addressing that issue?
I mean, for us, it's if the products are, so to say, mozaiq enabled or conformity to this technology, we do take these, we call it best of breed technology, which means we take the major relevant standards and we put something on top, which is getting the data and everything out of that. No, we try to move forward in terms of supporting certain major de facto standards, I would call it. It's not really a standard. It's more like OCF is a foundation. It's not a standard. And I think the consumer will understand sooner or later that the more they take these and they buy the same products being connected, I mean, it's their decision. It's the paradigm between you want to be very specific to your own needs, and you want to have the standard. So that doesn't match. So you have to decide. Either you say, okay, I decide to the standard, and I take some obligations in terms of not having everything exactly 100% to my design needs or whatsoever, or you take an individual product, and then it's very hard to be compatible with standards.
Right.
And I think the offering is wide enough to find a good compromise for everybody. That's what I can see, at least, if I look to this market.
So
Is that? I mean, you go along with
that
me,
makes sense. No, that does make sense. But I mean, it's just going to be a difficult transition period into this. I think I do definitely agree with you that there will be compromise, but it's going to be difficult for the consumer to be all in. Right.
That's the point. I mean, it's not transparent. I think the issue is, like if you would go here around the show and you ask the consumer, have you ever heard about OCF or IoTVT?
Yeah.
My slogan is a customer interested in that? Obviously, also not. He shouldn't.
Yeah.
So that's more, how do we market these kind of things, and how do we make sure people have a very smart and simple access to these data, to these services behind that, and also to the devices behind that. I think that's something we have to develop. It's not yet there, because everybody's individualizing thinking its own
It's still
silo.
very siloed.
Yes.
Right. It's still very siloed right now, and though I really want to take part in it, I actually find it very interesting looking at the way that different geographies approach the connected home, because the U.S. is very much into built-in propositions, right? That they're going to be addressing home builders in order to have, and it is high volumes, and it is a lot of money, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But Europeans and Asian countries, for sure. I'm living in Taiwan, and I know that a lot of people in a lot of European cities live in older homes that they're A, renting, or B, are not upgradable because of the age of the building or the complete unwillingness to invest into upgrading someone else's property, right? So these are two very different mentalities, right? And so the connected home, as it evolves, as I see it in Europe and Asia, is very modular, whereas the connected home in the U.S., as the proposition is very built in. Right?
I agree.
So like there's almost these two ecosystems that are moving up, and the U.S. ecosystem is by far the most vocal and gets the most press.
Yeah, I think that's the point. Maybe.
Maybe not the better solution.
It's always like there's drawbacks and compromises to be taken. No, I fully agree.
But between these kind of two different propositions for connected home, the ones that are coming up in, I'd say, Asia and Europe, there's a lot more acceptability for play, because the solutions tend to be a little more affordable, and if you decide to move, you can take them with you. Right? So there's these two kind of things at play that I think that the connected home could really start to leverage into, and like we were talking about China before, it becomes a lot more interesting when people almost don't care about standards or privacy and are just trying.
You just say what's available, and exactly, that's the point. And I mean, obviously, it's interesting because your mobile phone or your smartphone, you're going to change every second year minimum.
Yes. Maybe even every year.
And you don't care. It's a $700. Everybody's willing to pay $700 plus all these maintenance costs, so to say. No problem with this at all. But if it comes to your home, all by a sudden your brain is getting
$100.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we have to change in terms of marketing. I mean, the marketing has to be improved. That's if you ask me, people don't understand the use cases. What's to their benefit? And if it's just turning on the light, it's nice. It's a nice atmosphere. It's great. But are you willing to pay $100 more for just having remote light control? Some people do, but not the mass market, I would assume.
Yeah. So I paid. Well, actually, I didn't pay. I got a review unit, but it was $130. It was the Belkin Smart Plug with camera, and for me, it was a tremendous value add to my life because there's no central heating in Taipei. So I would check the camera to make sure that my dog hadn't thrown a blanket on top of the heater. And then I would use the smart plug to turn on the heater. Right? So to me, $130
isn't because exactly, because you have an individual case.
I have an individual use case.
For somebody without a cat maybe or a pet, he would think about it.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying we have to understand from a B2B point of view. We have to really figure out what are the upcoming trends and how do we make life really more applicable in terms of smart homes.
Yeah.
And that's what we are aiming to do with our company. We really want to break through this ecosystem thinking, which is anyhow the precondition, because it's a trusted brands behind. Don't forget that.
Right.
You would not do this with any no-name company. You would really like to understand that in 100% of the cases, you can rely on the technology.
Exactly.
Because otherwise your cat would be burned anyhow.
Yeah.
Which is a nightmare if you just... Yeah, no, it's clear.
Yeah, very clear.
So we need strong ecosystems. So we invite everybody to say, please develop your ecosystems as wide as possible, but be open to have the possibility to connect these ecosystems and think about how to implement these service providers and the app developers easily. Mm-hmm. They don't want to spend 6 weeks or 6 month investment prior to offering an app.
No.
And you don't want to wait for this as a customer.
No. It's actually unacceptable.
yeah, exactly. It's and then it doesn't work. Yeah. Then we stay still in the ecosystems and in the what we call the remote home with a few services. The mass services, I mean, that's what we need because that's what makes a difference with the telephone.
Definitely. So it's a very interesting, I think, fork in the road that we're currently in for is it the chicken or the egg? Are the services there? Is the platform there?
Yep.
So what do you? So you're banking on the fact that the platform with the current services will kind of snowball a reality.
Yeah, we do expect a snowball.
Yeah?
I mean, honestly, it's like the first snow. It has to snow, otherwise you will not have a snowball.
Right.
So that's the problem.
Okay.
And it's exactly as you said. It's a chicken and egg. For the service provider, it's just attractive if there is a huge bunch of ecosystems and devices, while if you're a device manufacturer, it's just attractive if you have a bunch of service providers.
Right.
And everybody is waiting for the other one. And that's what we want to stimulate a little bit, to say, look, we have defined a business model which is, from our point of view, quite disruptive, as we have no entrance barriers, neither for hardware producers. So whatever they go along with us, if they just have to enable the products, not certify is the wrong word, to enable those products, and they don't pay any fee for that. Everything is complementary. We really want to create this wide range of offerings inside this platform. And then it's attractive for the service providers to join that. And we are going to support startup companies as well. I mean, they have better and easier access. So the first households are anyhow free of charge, whatever you do. It doesn't matter. We really want to get started transferring this market from remote to a really smart home market.
So you're based here in Germany or in Europe?
We are based here in Germany, yes.
Germany.
Yeah.
So where is your current focus? Will be enabling Europe first, and then, or it's just completely global?
In general, it's global, of course, but it's always good to have some root courses. So we said let's focus on Europe first,
okay,
and then we will expand that. But it's already ongoing. I mean, we are in discussion, of course, how to enter the American market, which is a little bit more fragmented. If you look to the entire device manufacturers, I think Europe is a little bit, I wouldn't say easier, but it's more clear to be approached. I think China, in particular, but the entire Asian market is very much fragmented in terms of product offering.
Because everyone's just doing anything they want in Asia, which I think is a little more innovative, just because they're completely willing to try anything, and if that product line doesn't work, they'll just try another one.
No, I agree.
Yeah, which to me makes it a lot more fun. And if you have looser...
But you talked about the standards, right?
Yeah.
So you're the fun girl, and you're complaining the missing standards. I mean, that's a little bit.
I'm like, just give me the product.
Yeah, give me
standards
everything.
later.
Give me just everything.
I want it all.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's for sure. But that's the point. Look, that's exactly the point. I think people are like that. Mm-hmm. Me as well, by the way. Yeah. But I'm careful making it too much public. But no, in principle, that's the point. You want to have your individual fun.
Yeah.
And you want to have it compatible for the next, and comparable and upgradable for the next 20 years. And that's, how do you manage that?
Yeah.
This is
true.
impossible.
How do you manage
it's
that?
impossible.
Yeah.
And I think you can't manage. So you have to find this value proposition with the right fun factor.
Right.
I mean, if it is just boring stuff, forget it.
No one's going to care, and no one's going to want their home connected.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
So it's actually been a really great time talking to you about this, like very complex and very. I'm glad that you think you have an answer, and I actually
this big.
Yeah.
We have a first step to an answer.
The first step to an answer, and it's really exciting to kind of be in this time right now while you can shape a new industry.
Yeah.
To be honest, that that's one of the more exciting parts about it, I think, what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and maybe let me just summarize a little bit from my side. You know, when internet got started, everybody was afraid, oh, it's so difficult, security. And then there was a very nice campaign, at least in Germany. It was from AOL. It was about Boris Becker. He was very famous in these days. And then he was a tennis player. His core discipline is not doing internet stuff.
Right.
And then they made a movie with him to say it's so easy to get into internet. This was a great idea.
Yeah.
Because it took the barriers down.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to do. We have to bring the barriers down in the mental perception that smart home is just for advanced, high-skilled people. It's dangerous. It's unsecure.
Just for everybody. Yep.
Exactly. It's for everybody, like your smartphone. It's for everybody.
All right. Well, on
nice
that note, thank you very much for taking the time to make sure that we're bringing down the barriers for smart home, and we're on a road where everything is actually very close. And trade fairs like CeBIT are very much about enabling this kind of back-end infrastructure for the future. All right. So we're going to take a short break, and then Sasha will be back with our next interview partner.